Roy Keane was known for his hard work, hard tackling, and passionate displays. Tireless work ethic combined with a tenacious will to win makes Roy Keane one of the greatest box-to-box midfielder. Also famous for his temper and aggression, both on and off the field. Fiery Irishman was born in Cork, Ireland, in a working-class family back on the 10th of August 1971. His family was keen on sports, especially football. Keane took up boxing at age 9 and trained for several years. Initially, Keane was turned down from the Ireland schoolboys squad after a trial in Dublin. One explanation from the former Ireland coach was that the 14-year-old Keane was just too small to make it to the required level. He began applying for trials with English clubs, but he was turned down by each one. In 1989, he eventually signed for a semi-professional Irish club. He supported Celtic and Tottenham Hotspur as a child.
In Ireland, it was either you're a United or a Liverpool fan. Celtic, obviously. Strange enough, I supported Spurs. Not sure why,
But later on, Manchester United player Brian Robson became the footballer he most admired. Keane's performance attracted the attention of Nottingham Forest scouts. Roy impressed Forest manager Brian Clough, and eventually, a deal for Keane worth £47,000 was struck. His professional league debut came against Liverpool at the start of the 1991 season. Keane eventually scored his first professional goal against Sheffield United. Keane scored 3 goals during a run to the 1991 FA Cup final. In the third round, however, he made a costly error against Crystal Palace, gifting a goal to the opposition. On returning to the dressing room after the game, Clough punched Keane in the chest in anger.
Threw a punch, did he?
Yeah, threw a punch, yeah.
Did it connect?
Yeah, he did.
Keane bore no hard feelings against his manager, later claiming that he sympathized with Clough due to the pressures of management.
I never felt bad about it. I never felt what he'd done to me was wrong.
Keane was beginning to attract attention from the top clubs in 1992. Blackburn Rovers manager Kenny Dalglish spoke to Keane about the possibility of a move. Forest struggling and looking increasingly likely to be relegated, Keane negotiated a new contract with a relegation escape clause. The lengthy negotiations had been much talked about in public.
Real Madrid wanted to sign him, Blackburn wanted to sign him, Liverpool wanted to sign him.
Brian Clough described Keane as a greedy child due to the high wages demanded by the Irishman. Keane is the hottest prospect in football right now, but he is not going to bankrupt this club. Forest got relegated that season, and Forest fans voted Keane the club's player of the season. Blackburn agreed to a £4 million fee for Keane, but the deal collapsed due to incorrect paperwork. Manchester United manager Alex Ferguson heard about the move and phoned Keane. Ferguson ensured they had the paperwork ready and met up with Keane and signed him for Manchester United for £3.75 million, a British transfer record at the time. Keane soon established himself as a first-choice selection at Manchester United. At the end of the season, Keane won his first trophy as a professional, as United retained their Premier League title. After Eric Cantona's unexpected retirement, Keane took over as club captain. Although he missed most of the 1997 season because of an injury, caused an attempt to tackle Leeds United player Alfie Holland. As Keane lay prone on the ground, Holland stood over Keane, accusing the injured United captain of feigning injury to escape punishment, an allegation that would lead to an infamous incident between the two players 4 years later. Keane returned to captain the side the following season and guided them to a famous treble-winning season. In an inspirational display against Juventus in the second leg of the Champions League semi-final, he pushed his team from 2 goals down to win 3-2. He scored the opener for United in that game. Keane received a yellow card after a trip on Zidane that ruled him out of the final. Sir Alex Ferguson said this about Keane's performance against Juventus in 1999. It was the most emphatic display of selflessness I have seen on a football field. Pounding over every blade of grass, competing as if he would rather die of exhaustion than lose, he inspired all around him. I felt it was an honor to be associated with such a player. Keane caused controversy in November 2000 when he criticized sections of United supporters.
So at the end of the day, they need to get behind the team. And as I said, away from home, our fans are fantastic. I'd call it hardcore fans, but at home, you know, they'd have their few drinks and probably their prawn sandwiches, and they don't realise what's going on out in the pitch. And
referring to people who attend football matches primarily to enjoy luxury boxes and corporate hospitality, rather than to support a team. Keane's comments started a debate in England about the changing atmosphere in football ground. Keane made headlines again in the 2001 Manchester Derby, when 5 minutes from the final whistle, he was sent off for a knee-high foul on Alfie Holland in what was seen by many as an act of revenge. He initially received a 3-match suspension and a £5,000 fine from UEFA, but further punishment was to follow after the release of Keane's autobiography in August 2002. He later maintained in an interview that he had no regrets about the incident. What goes around comes around. He got his just rewards. My attitude is an eye for an eye, and said he would probably do the same thing again. Throughout the 2000s, Keane maintained a fierce rivalry with Arsenal captain Patrick Vieira. The most notable incident between the two took place at Highbury in 2005, at the height of an extreme period of bad blood between United and Arsenal.
Hey, right. See up here. Come on, then. Nice guy. Come on.
After the game, Keane controversially criticized Vieira's decision to play internationally for France instead of his country of birth, Senegal. Vieira, however, later suggested that having walked out on his national team in the World Cup finals, Keane was not in a good position to comment on such matters. Overall, Keane led United to 9 major honours, making him the most successful captain in the club's history. Keane scored his 50th goal for Manchester United on the 5th of February 2005 in a league game against Birmingham City.
Ronaldo, back heel, Roy Keane, still Roy Keane, great chance, Roy Keane! Roy Keane, Captain Courageous, has delivered in Manchester United's moment of need.
Keane also jointly holds the record for the most red cards received in English football, being dismissed a total of 13 times in his career. He was inducted into the English Football Hall of Fame. He became the only Irish player to be selected into the FIFA 100, a list of the greatest living footballers picked by Pelé. Keane unexpectedly left Manchester United by mutual consent on 18 November 2005.